Um, but just it's a kind of a question.
Okay.
Last Saturday, something clicked. I heard something that I heard a lot of times, but something clicked, and I came deeply to this. The mind and my thoughts were like when you go underwater and it's something above, something far away. It comes and it just was used when necessary. And it was there for a day and a little of the next day. And then, of course, the mind and ego come back. How would I explain this to others? And in such small ways, and the whale, the whale of Maya came again.
Yeah.
But I had a strong feeling it's out of my hands. It's like an autopilot. It cannot be forgotten anymore. So this will lift again. When and how, I don't know, because it was not done with the mind.
Exactly. Yes.
So I don't know if it is exactly a question. It's just, will it come back? Does it come back? Does it happen often that this whale come down and up and?
Yeah, and it does it by itself, because where you are now, this is driving the bus, right? This is driving the bus now, right? And because you've allowed it to. You've said, like, okay, you can drive the bus. I've driven this bus for, like 10,000 lifetimes, right? And now I'm getting over. I've been there, done that, and it's okay, but it doesn't really work out as well as it could. So now I'm going to give you a chance. And when that happens, then it takes over and it does this. So how do you explain this to others? You let this do it. You don't do it. If it doesn't want to say anything, then nothing comes out. If it wants to say something, it will say something beautiful, and you don't have to worry about it. It's very effortless. Like the way I speak here, it's effortless. I have no idea what I'm going to say. I don't plan anything. I know nothing. I just am empty, and I allow this to speak. But this is me, It's just not me limited to a body and a mind and anything else, right? It's what I always have been, what everyone always is, this one source of everything. And so this is what we let drive the bus. It's really a good driver. And there's some fears, like, how does this know how to operate a human vehicle in this world, right? Why should it? But it knows everything. So of course it can do that too. There's nothing that it can't do. Yeah. So yes, the veil comes down, but you see the veil. You see the veil. Maya comes down. You see it. You're witnessing the veil come down. This is the teaching. This is a great teaching. It's better that the veil comes down, that Maya comes down, and you see it, than that it doesn't come down at all. Because this is teaching you. This is what happens when it comes down. This is how I feel when it comes down. This is how I feel when I'm free, when I'm in this space. Look at the difference. Look at the contrast. Which do you prefer? Right? Which do you prefer?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. When the veil is not down, because there's no fear. No. It's funny. It's not like complete bliss or something. It's no fear. It's effortless. It's so nice. It's good.
Right. Yeah. And it's something that you come to see, that this is always here, right? When the veil comes down, it's kind of different, right? The veil comes down in this way. Now it comes down in this way. Now it comes down in this way. There's a lot of changing in that. There's something that's unchanging in this other experience. You can go deeper into it, and it can reveal all kinds of new things that you haven't seen before, but there is something about it that's unchanging. And it's the only thing that is, isn't it? There's something about it that's unchanging. This is the thing that's here. The veil and Maya, they're very kind of flexible and they're changing. They're very changeable. They don't come down in the same way. This is always here. And
that was funny, because I, I know, recognize that it is always here.
Mhm.
It is the basis. I saw that everybody has this.
Yeah.
It's just that we wear it. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Exactly. That's what it is. You see this, this is what's here. This is what's always here. The rest of it, the whole world is sort of spinning and changing around this. And the whole world is nothing but made of this. So this is the source of everything. We call it often the source. This is the source of everything. And at some point, you're probably going to experience, other dimensions that are formless that you can't see, and maybe already have experienced that. And that also is the source, is also that. There is this source to the whole thing, infinite dimensions and all that. It's amazing how much there is. But that is not anything to get distracted by, just like you don't get distracted by your astral body or other things after a while. It's like, it's all just part of the source. All of it. Every experience, even the most profound mystical experience, is part of this source. And this source is what we keep our attention on. Truth, the unknowable, not the experiences, but this that doesn't change. And it reveals to us amazing things, miraculous things, and sometimes we can talk about them if it talks. And in the beginning, we do want, our mind really wants to, this was amazing, let me figure it out and tell my friends, But yeah, we try, but then it teaches us too that we can't, right? So we try and it doesn't work, and we try and eventually we realize, oh, I can't do that. This can do it, but I can't do it. How am I going to figure out what this is? And the mystery is because the mind doesn't know it, right? It isn't really even a mystery because this does know it, but the mind doesn't. So to the mind, it's just always going to be a mystery, really. That's just the way it is. To the mind, this will always be a mystery. If this wants to speak something that works for a certain person and they can understand it, because this knows that, because that other person is not separate from that either. It's like, have you ever experienced synchronicity, right? Or coincidences, things that happen that just, oh, it's amazing. That person came and did this for me. And just before I had a thought, I wish someone could help me with this. And from out of nowhere, a stranger comes and does it. And, at first, oh, wow, I'm lucky, or some other idea. But it's because it's all the source, right? Why wouldn't the source be able to do that? It's moving around, people like chess pieces. It's like, and we don't control it. We're not driving the bus. That person's not driving their bus. At that moment, they came because the source said, this part needs that for this. So it arranged this to happen somehow. I don't know. It's not as simple as I'm saying it is. I don't know how to explain that, but it comes because there is one source, you know, and we're all it, but we think we're not for a while, for a long time, for many, many lifetimes, we think we're not. But all those lifetimes were the source. It was never not that. Nothing was ever not that. Even my spirit guides and all the different dimensions that are formless, it's all the source. You know, the more we are in higher dimensions, the closer we are to being aware of that. To not having an ego and a sense of separation, like, look at me, I'm an awesome spirit guide. I'm number one, better than everybody else, and I'm totally separate. I mean, it doesn't happen in that realm. We're much more awake in that realm. Physical body is quite a dense form. I don't know if there's more density than this form, but probably there is. Probably there's infinite levels of density beyond. I don't know what they are, but everything seems to be quite infinite. That's another thing that helps us, kind of let go of the mind, because we can't grasp it. I know when they had the God particle, right? Um, they discovered what they call the God particle, and scientists were so excited because I think we found the very smallest particle that could ever exist. It must be the source of all on the atomic level, because this is the very smallest thing. And this was years ago, but immediately I just knew they've only opened the door to infinitely small. They've just like cracked, the tip of the iceberg. And when they get that, they're going to be so disappointed that they're going to find that there's another and another and another, that it goes on infinitely. So they'll never get to the end. They can't get to the end. There's no end to get to. That's what infinite is. If there were an end and you got to that, immediately something smaller would come up. It would just manifest, because there's no end to it. That's it. It's beyond our mind to grasp that. And it's funny, because the more we understand this, the more we let go of the mind. And then we see all these people who know something. The God particle, I know, I've discovered that, which is beautiful that they're searching, beautiful that they're looking, but something we realize they don't know. Nobody does. So all the people are saying they do don't. They're actually a little bit more lost than the people who say, I don't know. I would always trust a doctor, a medical doctor, if they would at least say they don't know. Then I would say, oh, okay, here's someone who has a little bit of wisdom. All the other ones who know, I can't trust it, because I realize they're just expressing their ignorance, and something bad can happen from that. But someone who says, I really don't know, then I'd say, oh, a wise person, really, that's wonderful. They I can trust. There is this not knowing, and it's not ignorance, it's wisdom. The wisdom is in the realizing that we don't know, that we don't know. I mean, look at all the words I say. They're just like pour out of me. It seems like I know everything, but I don't know anything. That's why I can say these things, because I can allow them to come through without attaching to them. I am kind of interested in recording these things, though, because, I learned something from listening to it. Yeah. By the way, I'm recording this too. And if you don't want to be in this, then I'll put words up on the screen. And if it's okay with you, then I'll put you on.
It is okay.
All right. Yeah. Now you were on a very, yeah, it's an opening to consciousness, very much so, in you, Thomas. I mean, that, but yeah, it is. It's moving to me, actually. What you say. It's like touching to me, because we're only this one consciousness. So whenever anybody wakes up to this one consciousness, it's a big deal to me. To this oneness. It really wants to be woken up to itself. It's a great, it's a very big thing to it. I don't know why, but it is. It wants, the only way that it can know itself is through us, because it's one. How can it know itself? How can one know itself? It can't be outside itself to know itself. So the only way it can know itself is through us, to anybody that wakes up to this, to what they are, to this. Then in that moment that happens, it knows itself. Lifetimes and lifetimes of not knowing itself, all just to have this one moment. I know what I am. I can't know it with my mind, but I'm open to this. And this is what's doing it. This is what's doing it. But this is like, it's why it's doing it, so it can know itself. So it doesn't know itself for a while, so it can know itself. This is on a very cosmic, I guess, level, to say, but it doesn't know itself so that it can know itself. So part of the ego and all this is so that we learn language and we function in the world, but on a much more basic and much deeper level. It's this not knowing itself so that it can know itself, if that makes any sense. It doesn't know itself for a while so that it can know itself. And that's why for teachers like me, whenever anybody wakes up to this, it feels really good. It feels really good, you know, to see that. And because this is kind of the purpose of the whole thing, the whole universe and cosmos and all of this is so this can know itself. In the end, that's what the whole thing is all about. I mean, millennia before there were even humans and planets and gas forms and all this stuff that came out of this unity, this oneness. You know, they say that scientists have said that this whole universe came out of something that's smaller than the grain of sand. It just like that's, and I think that's pretty awesome. You know, it stretches our mind a little bit to say, oh, really? That's wow, really out of that. But of course, they don't know. You know, they don't know that. But it's kind of like that, except it's even smaller than a grain of sand. It doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist as form. It came out of something that's entirely formless. And why? Because it wants to know itself in this way that we're doing. So for what we do to wake up, this is like cosmic. It's cosmic, you know, that we are a vehicle for this to happen. You know, there's a lot of gratitude that, oh, use me, you know, for this. This is like thumbs up. I'm totally on board to use me for this. There's nothing better that I could be a puppet for than this. Yeah. Yeah. It's really amazing. Yeah. That, that this can actually have gratitude too, you know, to feel the joy somehow, you know. I mean, maybe it's just transferred through this body mind that it has that. I don't know. But something, it wants this, you know. This is something that this is the purpose of the whole deal. And to think, because it's infinite and eternal, you know, 8 gazillion years is the blink of an eye, right? So how long did it take a human to form after, you know, before there was a solar system, before there was a universe? There were like gases and other stuff and maybe other universes. Just, you know, trillions and trillions and trillions of years, you know, more than a trillions, you know, whatever they have more than a trillion, there were multiples of that before this human form even began to exist, so that it could say, oh, I know what I am. But it's cosmic, right? So it doesn't work in the same level as we do, you know? Gazillions of years are nothing to that. Yeah. So waking up is kind of a big deal, really, in this thing. And it's not. It's not, because it happens. It keeps happening, and humankind. It's more happening more and more for humans, right? So on a much more mundane level, humans need to wake up, because if we don't, we're not going to have a human race. The planet will be destroyed and uninhabitable if we keep going the way we're doing. And that won't take even that long to do that. We're at a point where we can totally destroy the planet really quickly with nuclear weapons and things. So we're at a point where we're close to doing this. You know, at this point, we have the technology and the ability and the stupidity and the ignorance to do it. So the waking up needs to come to stop that from happening. You know, because awakened people are never going to do anything like that. They're the opposite of greed and all that stuff. So, and that's on the mundane physical level that's happening. But on this cosmic level, it's happening for this, because this is the purpose of it, to know what we are. God realization, you know. God realization is not us realizing God, it's God recognizing itself.